everybody, it's Romania Black, and we are on Volume 7 of Heaven Official's Blessing! Man, so, the last two sets of chapters have been fairly short sets of chapters. Chapters 203 to 205, and then chapters 206 to 207, which were fairly short. Not a lot of content, but I feel like after the opening of Volume 7 and the entirety of Volume 6, it's a little bit of a break has been warranted, but I feel like we're about to get back into the nitty-gritty of things because things started out with Volume 7 with like this big explosion. We had everybody meeting on the top of Mount Tonglu, the giant statue, Xie Lian and Hua Cheng making out, and then all of the resentful spirits from Wuyong were dispersed, and so Xie Lian and Hua Cheng chased after them. We met back up with the Windmaster. Oh my gosh, what great timing with the Donghua coming out. And now Junwoo has mysteriously showed up being like, oh no, resentful spirits into the world. Hua Cheng, you got this. Xie Lian, come with me and we need to go talk to the Guoshi. I don't know. Maybe it's a big goose chase. It seems suspicious. And I don't know what to think, but something's amuck. Something's rotten in the state of Denmark, and I don't know what it is. But I want to find out. So that's why we're reading these chapters today. We're reading chapters 208, 209, and 210. 3 chapters from pages 97 to 128. So again, not a lot of pages, but that's just how this volume has been sorted out. So there's no manhwa chapter this week either, so there's that. Next week we'll have like a big old chunk of pages plus a manhwa chapter. It'll be chapter 100, so it should be exciting. But yeah, I have no clue what to expect at this point. I do have one comment before we start. Everybody's been super nice, super chill. I think everybody's excited about the Donghua coming out, so there's been lots of comments about the Donghua. But with the novel, everybody's just kind of like, oh, it's fine. Novel 7. And I've asked, to be fair, I've asked people not to tell me what to expect. So it has been nice being completely surprised going into these chapter sets. But when things get super quiet, sometimes it's a sign that something big's going to happen. And I don't know, maybe I'm just getting excited. Maybe I'm just putting the cart before the horse. We'll just have to see. But all I do know is that Athena Wu 02 had this really cool comparison about how Xie Lian, and maybe we've talked about this before, but how Xie Lian, on the outside, there's no external change within Xie Lian. He always looks the same, right? From the start of the story to now. Always looks the same. But internally, he's been changing a lot over the course of the story. And the other characters can't quite see it, but we, the audience, know that Xie Lian has been growing and developing over the course of the story. It's been really exciting. And then you have Hua Cheng, who on the outside has changed a lot. He's gone from a little kid to a teenage soldier to a little ghostly fire spirit to Wu Ming to Hua Cheng as we see him as San Long to the Supreme Ghost King. Like, Hua Cheng has changed so much in this story and has taken on so many different forms, but at his core, he's always remained the same. At his core, his personality and his devotion towards Xie Lian has been a constant. And so I really liked Athena Wu pointing that out. I thought that was a really cool thing to note. And at this point in the story, it seems very relevant, right? That Hua Cheng, even though his form may change, even though he may not always look the same, he's always a constant for Xie Lian. And that's like, so good. But yeah, I don't know. We're barely into this volume, so we've got so much left to go. But I'm savoring it. I'm savoring it as much as I can. Hopefully we get a picture. We haven't got any pictures these last 2 volumes. That's been my only downside with this volume so far. I'm like, we've had all these amazing things happen, like a reunion with the Windmaster and Xie Lian and Hua Cheng making out. I'm like, book, why are we not getting this, you know? I think Couscous was showing us on the Discord the Russian volume of Volume 5, and they have, which is book 5, and they have a picture of the Windmaster in their little beggar clothes, and it looks so good. I'm like, where's that? I wanted to see the Windmaster, although we were talking about my imagination of the Windmaster is that they have facial hair, and everybody in the Discord was like, no! I was like, because if they seem like a beggar, they've got like a grown-out beard, and they've got like their hair all scraggly and stuff, and they pull back their hair, and you know, in my mind, when you pull back the hair, it's not just enough that they're dirty, and that's how you can't recognize them. That's like she's all that mentality, right? It's like, oh, you're beautiful. Like, just like that, you know? That's what it seems like. So I'm like, it's not enough to me that the Windmaster, you just pull back the hair and you're like, oh my God, it's the Windmaster. It's like you have to stare at the eyes because the beard and the facial hair and everything's like distracting you. So that was my interpretation. But everybody else was like, Although, to be fair, I could not see the Windmaster with facial hair, so that's why it's so shocking. Right? Could see Pei Ming and Junwoo with facial hair, but no such luck, right? So yeah, I'm really excited. I don't know what we're getting. No clue. Super excited though. Can't wait to see what happens. But yeah, at this point, I'm like, okay, Xie Lian is conveniently being whisked away by Junwoo and the Guoshi. I've wanted answers, damn it, for a long damn time. Are we gonna get them in these 3 chapters? Or is FXTX going to drive me insane? Probably the latter, but we'll see. So I poured myself some coffee and I'm like, all right, it's raining outside. It's a very cold and damp fall day. And I'm like, all right, let's do this. So I'm excited, y'all. I hope you all are too, but we're not going to waste any more time. We are going to dive into chapters 208 to 210 of Heaven Official's Blessing. And we are going to do that here in 3, 2, 1, and let's go. Chapter 208, the ghost enters the mirror. Nowhere to hide. Ooh, a mirror. It was like Mirror of Erised. Are we going to like see things? I don't know. Even after having fumbled and stumbled onto the main avenue of the heavenly capital. Yeah, Xie Lian got caught canoodling by the Windmaster and was highly embarrassed. Xie Lian was still covering half of his face with his hand, wobbly and unsteady the entire way. While none of the junior heaven officials rushing about on the street dared to approach him to ask about it, nonetheless, they all stared at him strangely. This is so funny because right now in the Donghua, we just got done last week with episode 2, where Hua Cheng like takes the bite out of the meat bun, and Xie Lian's so flustered that he like runs into carts and stuff in the street and like fumbles over everything. It's good to know that even 5 volumes later, he's not changed. Xie Lian quickly dropped his hand, straightened his back, and rubbed his mouth unnaturally, muttering, "My lips kind of hurt. I don't know what's going on." You kissed him really hard. The looks on the junior faces gave him became even stranger. Just what did you have to do for your lips to hurt? Oh, he said it out loud, and they were like, what? It really did kind of hurt, actually. When he jumped up to crush into the kiss, he used too much force, and Hua Cheng most likely felt the crash. But after Xie Lian had pressed close, he could feel very clearly that Hua Cheng had smiled. Hua Cheng is like, yes! Oh my god! He didn't dare to think more on the subject, of course, and hurried onwards with his head down, and other heavenly officials didn't stop him, all rushing their own ways. We can't have Junwoo realizing that Xie Lian's not impotent. Perhaps it was because the reopening of Mount Tonglu had become too hectic an affair, but the air of the entire heavenly court was solemn and uneasy. Within the great martial hall, there were already many heavenly officials gathered. While the resentful spirits of Mount Tonglu were sent in all directions, the majority were sent to the most populous royal capital, which is why it's so weird they left. Xie Lian and Hua Cheng had toiled until now because they chose the heaviest and roughest task. Everyone else only faced about a few hundred of those creatures and had long since finished them off. Oh! Pei Ming, Function, and the others had already returned to the heavenly capital. Well, why don't they go help Hua Cheng out? Although Hua Cheng probably doesn't want them to help him out. Their faces lined with fatigue. Oh, or they're exhausted too. However, when Xie Lian crossed into the hall and looked up to greet people, the first one he saw was Lan Chuanchu. Oh, who he hadn't seen in a long time! Lan Chuanchu's face was dark. When he saw Xie Lian, he was also taken aback and he twisted his head around. The crowd were all in deep in their thoughts and unspeaking. Junwoo sat on the throne, and when he first saw Xie Lian had come, he rose a little ready to speak, but Lan Chuanchu stepped forward first. "My lord, I've heard you've already caught the green ghost of Qirong." Junwoo looked at him. That's correct. However, the green ghost Qirong, the female Zhangji, as well as the others, were not captured by my own hand. They were all consigned by Yen Yu of Ghost City. Ooh, Yen Yu of Ghost City. Ooh. Only then did Xie Lian notice that Yen Yu was present too. Oh, well, there he is. Oh, it couldn't be helped. Yen Yu really had no sense of presence because he's mortal. Speaking of, this was the first time Yen Yu had entered the Great Martial Hall. Other than the highest-ranking heavenly officials, no other subjects could step foot within the hall without Junwoo's permission. In the past, when Yen Yu was a heavenly official, he didn't have the right to enter since his rank was too low. Now that he had willingly fallen to the Ghost City, he could finally enter formally. Truly a complicated feeling. Oh my god, we have so much to talk about. Lan Chuanchu cut right to the point. "Qirong is the enemy who destroyed my clan. Pray my lord leaves him at my disposal." Junwoo glanced at Xie Lian and hummed for a moment. "It's not that handing him over to you would be a problem. However, I ask you, what comes after you've dealt with the green ghost Qirong? What will you do? Originally, when Lan Chanchu had left, he threatened that after he was done with Qirong, he would come looking for Xie Lian, and this was something that Junwu had known. Lan Chanchu's voice was hard. That will not be my lord's concern. What? My lord can't possibly plan on acquitting Qirong just because I don't answer this question and prevent me from avenging my family. Well, you'd be surprised, but what? In the past, he rarely spoke within the Great Martial Hall. Yeah, he was asleep the first time we met him. And even when he did, it'd be something silly. Yet now when he spoke, his expression and his tone of voice were filled with resentment. This was not a good state to be in, and Pei Ming spoke up. Your Highness, Tai Hua seems to have quite the temper today, eh? Of course my lord doesn't plan on acquitting. Just as he was trying to smooth things over, the sound of commotion came from outside the hall, and someone charged in. My lord, I can't wait any longer. It was actually Mu Qing. He was donned in black, his face grim. Several of the martial officials behind him were supposed to be apprehending him, but how could they possibly be capable of it? So they came rushing in too. My lord, we were just sending General Hua Cheng to... What is this reunion? Junwu sighed, his hand supporting his cheek, and he waved. I understand. Step down. A moment later, he lifted his head and gazed towards Mu Qing. And so? Mu Qing proclaimed with a steel voice, and so, I cannot continue to endure these baseless accusations. Hasn't my lord already captured that woman? I want to confront her face to face. Lan Chanchu spoke up to my lord, please hand me the green ghost Qirong as well. The two both spoke with raised voices, making the scene appear riotous, and it was giving Junwu headaches. Silence! Can you both not wait until I've finished dealing with Mount Tonglu? Mu Qing reasoned, because of course he would. If my lord needs to manage the resentful spirits leaked from the kiln, then you need hands. What's the use in keeping me locked up? Why are they all against Junwu? When did this happen? Why not let me clear my name so I can return to my service to the heavenly court? As long as my lord brings her up to have me confront her, the truth will come out. His words were logical, and if he wasn't given his way, he would probably be relentless. So Junwu could only command, bring up the female ghost, Zhan Lan. What is this? What is happening? Soon after, Zhan Lan was brought forth. In her arms was a bundle that looked like swaddling cloths, and it emitted a chilling black aura. From within the bundle, something tragically pale that resembled a hand, but not, crawled. Was it something, poked. Wait. Something that resembled a hand, but not. Something that resembled bones, but not. Poking out, baring its teeth and claws, but it was forcibly stuffed back into the bundle. She wasn't restrained with her arms twisted back by the arresting officers, probably to give Fengxian face. Fengxian swallowed lightly, meeting his eyes with hers for a moment before Zhan Lan looked away first. Then Fengxian's gaze fell on the swaddling cloths in her arms, and his look grew even more complicated. Mu Qing, on the other hand, was already at the end of his patience, and the moment she came up, he spoke. I don't know why your son must slander me, but it knows for sure that I'm not the culprit. It must be under someone else's control. He was losing his composure, but Xie Lian could understand. Mu Qing was someone who cared deeply about face, and to have a chamber pot sitting on his head for so long, even going as far as to affect his duty in the upper court, he was naturally filled to the brim with raw temper. Junwu questioned, and by your conjecture, who do you think is controlling it? Mu Qing didn't speak, but his gaze moved, and everyone could tell he was looking at Zhan Lan. The veins on Fengxian's forehead instantly popped. What are you trying to say? Do you think she would purposely have her son slander you? Mu Qing withdrew his gaze and replied, I didn't say anything of the sort. Then why are you looking at her? Fengxian exclaimed. She bears no grudge towards you, so why would she do such a thing? Mu Qing glared at him. There's certainly no grudge between us, but who knows about you? And what do you mean by that? Fengxian demanded. Just everything. Just have everything all out at once. What is going on? Mu Qing glanced at Xie Lian. You acquainted the lady Zhan Lan during the time of His Highness's first banishment, right? The officials all followed along and looked at Xie Lian. Xie Lian's like, wait, what? How did he get dragged in again? Fengxian glanced at him too and gritted out with quiet anger. Why does that have to do with anything? Mu Qing stopped caring and let everything go, thoroughly ripping things out into the open. Well, of course it has to do with everything. At the time, life by His Highness's side was staggeringly difficult, and you also hated me, the one who returned to the middle court to the bone. You loved digging through my history to berate my wrongs, and since she's your bedmate, how could she not hate me by this subliminal influence? Who knows? Maybe she also started hating His Highness because, in the end, you still didn't take her away and instead chose to continue your wretched loyalty. It was practically abandonment. Feng Xin couldn't bear this anymore and roared, "Stop your bullshit!" His fist flew out and Mu Qing raised his own to return the blow. Zhanlan went up to stop them, but the fetus spirit started cackling weirdly, and much like the chaotic cries of old crows, exceedingly horrifying. Pei Ming and Yin Yu both pulled Feng Xin and Mu Qing back separately, while Chan Yizhen was standing to the side staring, seeming to be contemplating who would win if they started a fight. In any case, it was a mess in the hall. Xie Lian stood there quietly for a good while, hanging his head. After a moment, he sighed and reminded, "My lord, the priority right now should be to find the white no-face and manage the human face disease. It's the person we captured earlier who is the most important piece of the puzzle." Junwu couldn't watch any longer either and waved his hand. "Take the female ghost, Zhanlan, and the fetus spirit away. Bring forth the Guoshi of Shanla." Mu Qing shouted, "No, I've got to see." "Wait, what?" Feng Xin was also dumbfounded. "Bring who?" The two both looked to the entrance of the hall. Wasn't the one brought over by a martial official none other than the Guoshi of Shanla, whom they were both very familiar with, Mei Nianqing? Feng Xin and Mu Qing were both flabbergasted. Feng Xin ventured, "Guoshi, is it really Guoshi?" Mu Qing didn't say anything, but he was also stunned and unsure. They couldn't be blamed. In truth, even now, Xie Lian still felt things were kind of surreal. He couldn't connect this man with the Guoshi who once asked him the question of two men and a cup of water. Mei Nianqing stepped forward languidly, brushing past Xie Lian. Junwu sat overlooking the great hall. "Shanla, when we were down below, you seemed to have something to say." Xie Lian inclined his head slightly. "Yes." Thus, he picked out the important bits and reported his journey to Mount Tonglu and the incidents that occurred while exploring. He picked out the important bits and the incidents that occurred while exploring the kingdom of Wuyang. The more the crowd listened, the wider their eyes became. Never mind Feng Xin and Mu Qing's. After the report was done, Junwu spoke up slowly. "And yet I have never heard of the kingdom of Wuyang before." The officials all agree. "Well, I've never heard of it either. It was 2,000 years ago, after all. Traces of it must have been wiped intentionally." Mei Nianqing hadn't spoken a single word throughout all of it, and Xie Lian turned to him. "Guoshi, the crown prince of Wuyang, is the white no-face. Am I right?" "Yes." Mei Qing, he answered! "Oh, I knew it! Oh my god! 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 Okay. Woo! Okay, all right. We're done. Ah. Pei Ming spoke as he mused. "Then who left those murals behind? And who destroyed the last painting?" "I don't know who left those murals behind," Xie Lian responded, "but I think the last painting was destroyed by the white no-face or his subordinates. After all, he didn't want anyone to know of his identity." He turned to Mei Nianqing. "And you are the subordinate of the Crown Prince of Wuyang," which made him the subordinate of the white no-face. Mei Nianqing didn't speak. Xie Lian had a sudden urge to ask him, but when Shanla fell, had the Guoshi known the creature was white no-face? Which also meant they were colluding, and the Guoshi was even a helper. Oh my god, is Nianqing white no-face? Shut up, no, wait. However, in the end, he asked a different question instead. Where is the white no-face right now? Why did the white no-face have to bring ruin to Shanla? "Why do you want to kill me?" Xie Lian demanded. Mei Nianqing finally spoke. "Your Highness, I never wanted to kill you." "Then why were you coming for my throat down there?" Mei Nianqing asked back, "If I strangled you, would you have died? Would the one next to you have allowed me to succeed?" That was true, but that didn't mean Mei Nianqing didn't have killing intent, since his reaction was completely subconscious at the time. Mei Nianqing probably knew he couldn't convince Xie Lian, so he stopped trying to argue. After a moment of silence, Xie Lian finally asked the question he wanted to answer the most. "What did you want to awaken in me?" Xie Lian asked. Junwu had told him the Guoshi seemed to want to awaken something within him, but what could it be? Mei Nianqing stared at him strangely. Inside his sleeves, Xie Lian's hands were clenched into fists. "Guoshi, go ahead and tell me." Xie Lian always felt vaguely uneasy. The path of fate that the Crown Prince of Wuyang was so similar to his own. Could there really be some sort of hidden connection between himself and the white no-face? This was something he must verify, since he couldn't allow a creature like the White No-Face to have any sort of connection to himself. Yet he also was very afraid that the White No-Face really did have something to do with him. Mei Nianqing watched him, and for a moment later he replied, "Your Highness, these questions you ask, it's not quite the right time for me to answer them." Oh, frick you! Even if I do answer, you might not believe me. After a pause, he continued, "However, there's one thing I can answer you right now." Mei Nianqing slowly enunciated each word. "Right now, the White No-Face is inside this great martial hall. He is standing right before me." Who was standing right before him? Xie Lian was. Xie Lian instantly backed a few steps away and seemed to want to avoid being in that spot. The closest person next to him was Feng Shen, and he exclaimed, "Guoshi, you open your eyes and look properly at the person right in front of you. It's His Highness, your disciple." However, there were other voices too. Further away, there were heavenly officials who covered their mouths and whispered, "Could it be that His Highness and White No-Face share a split soul?" What is a split soul? What? When a person's soul is split in half or broken into two sides, each half has its own memories and their own personality, and their personalities and skills would be different too. Perhaps even the appearance could be different as well. What? What are we talking about? What? That's very possible. I've heard of cases like that too. If it's really like that, then what should we do? His Highness the Crown Prince is the white-clothed calamity. Such voices were coming from all around, and Xie Lian started to doubt himself too. Was he the White No-Face? Had it always been like this? Could it be that he himself who had brought ruin to Shanla? That it was he who tortured himself for 800 years? Everything up until now, it was all himself to blame. There was clamoring noise from all around within the hall, and the heavenly officials were whispering with various expressions. Even Feng Shen didn't know what to say anymore, or what to believe. As for Junwu, he stood up and said, "Shanla, calm yourself." Xie Lian was falling apart. Was everything really all his fault? If it really was him, then what should he do? He didn't know. Just as he was drowning in confusion, a sudden voice rang in his mind. "No! I can swear that you are you. You are not anyone else. Trust me." Song-Long. Hua Cheng had said at once that it couldn't be him. It could never be his fault. Having thought this, Xie Lian's mind instantly cleared, and he steadied himself, standing his ground. Junwu, however, had already descended from his throne and came to his side. "Shanla, calm down first." Xie Lian was just about to look up to give a composed response when unexpectedly, right then, Mei Nianqing suddenly reached out and pulled out a sacred sword hung on Feng Shen's waist and lunged at Junwu. All the heavenly officials cried out. However, both Junwu and Xie Lian were martial gods, the best in their field no less, so why would they care for such a low-level sneak attack? The point of the blade hadn't even touched Junwu before Xie Lian's fingers had already flashed out as fast as lightning and seized the shining snow-white blade, catching it right before his eyes. Feng Shen came back to his senses and immediately rushed up to restrain the Guoshi. That he dared to attempt an assassination within the great martial hall, and in front of so many martial gods too, he was asking for his death. Feng Shen exclaimed, "Guoshi, what you're doing is pointless." However, when Mei Nianqing struggled uselessly, he roared at Xie Lian at the same time, "Take a look! Look! Take a look, quick!" Yin Yu rushed up. "Your Highness, are you all right? What happened?" From afar, Mu Qing was alarmed. "Look at what? What does he mean? What is he planning?" It was pandemonium for a good while. Xie Lian hadn't moved a muscle. It wasn't because of anything else. It was because he saw something reflected on the snow-white blade. A face. The composed and handsome face of a youth. And on this face, there were 3 other faces growing on it. Those 3 tiny faces were squished on this person's face, ruining that handsome complexion, making it appear chillingly horrifying. Even the 5 features seemed to be contorting. Half of the face appeared to be crying. The other half appeared to be smiling. That face should have been infinitely familiar to Xie Lian. Yet right then in the mirror-like blade, the face was so foreign that it was terrifying, so much that Xie Lian was drenched in cold sweat. Only then did he remember that this sword Feng Shen carried with him was Hongjing, the mirror that revealed evil. When ghosts entered the mirror, they could not hide. From this angle... Oh my God! From this angle! What Hongjing was reflected wasn't his own face, but the face of the one who was standing behind him. And upon that face were a pair of dark, solemn eyes that were currently watching him closely. Oh my God, no! No, what? Oh my God. Xie Lian's pupils shrank It was as if his movements had slowed, and as his mouth opened slowly, his wrist suddenly stiffened. A powerful hand seized his wrist, and from behind him, Junwoo smiled. Shanla, what are you looking at? Ah! No! No, there's no way! There's no way! There's no fucking way! No! Chapter 209. Chaos in the heavenly court. The nefarious wave shakes the heavens. It had been hundreds of years since Xie Lian last felt such chills down his spine. Mei Nianqing said the white no-face was standing right before him. Xie Lian's first thought it was himself, but he'd forgotten before Mei Nianqing, other than Xie Lian, there was still Junwoo behind him. Only he had never suspected that person. So this was a startling revelation, which is why all the hairs were now standing on end. Xie Lian struggled a bit, but the strength of that hand was extremely powerful, gripping him firmly without budging. He said in spite of himself, Your face. Junwoo's voice sounded like he didn't pay it any mind, like he had only just noticed a trifling mistake. A moment's carelessness, and they'd come out again. Another wave of excruciating pain shot from Xie Lian's wrist. Finally, he couldn't grip the hilt anymore and loosened his fingers. The long sword dropped to the ground, and clang, a crisp resounding sound filled the hall, but it was too late. Many of the heavenly officials nearby, like Xie Lian, had seen that horrifying face reflected in Hongjing. A blanket of dead silence covered the great hall. Almost every heavenly official was stunned, including Feng Xin, who stood the closest and saw everything clearly. Mei Nianqing used his chance to break free of the hold and grabbed Hongjing that was on the ground, raising it up with both hands to stand upright in front of Junwoo. Everyone looked closely. Look at the face of the man standing right here. A number of martial gods came to their senses first. Pei Ming rushed forward and shouted, his sword pulled out. Who are you? The heavenly officials standing further away didn't understand what was happening, and they started crying out, what's going on? Who's General Pei talking to? How can he point a sword at the emperor? Mei Nianqing was stared intently at Junwoo without blinking, enunciating each word. He is White No-Face. Muqing was dumbstruck. Well, how could he be White No-Face? Is White No-Face impersonating the emperor? Where's the real emperor? Xie Lian was now also wondering if there was an underhanded switchover. But since when had this substitute been around? How come he didn't notice anything amiss? The heavenly martial emperor wasn't like the elusive low-key Earthmaster. No matter what, if he was impersonated, it couldn't have gone unnoticed by all of the entire upper court. Mei Nianqing was about to speak again when Ju raised another hand, sighing, oh, you've disappointed me again. Mei Nianqing's face suddenly dropped, and it appeared as if he was suddenly strangled in a chokehold by someone. Lan Chanchu picked up a longsword and slashed out whooshing sword gales, but Junwoo turned his head and swept a look, and Lan Chanchu was sent flying back. The next second, Pei Ming, Lan Chanchu, Feng Xin, Muqing, Chan Yishan, and almost all the martial gods inside the Great Martial Hall seized forward. However, only an instant's time after Junwoo's hand was still gripping Xie Lian's wrist, while all the martial gods that surrounded and attacked earlier had fallen. Oh my god. Within the Great Hall, the ground was sprawled with martial gods who had all lost their attacking powers. Only Junwoo and Xie Lian remained standing. Muqing threw up a mouthful of blood and yelled angrily at Xie Lian, who was frozen on the spot and silent. Move! Do something! What are you zoning out for? Are you waiting to be killed? Yet little did he know. It wasn't that Xie Lian didn't want to move. It was that he couldn't move at all. Even though Junwoo was only using one hand to grip him, Xie Lian could sense that even if he were to slightly curve a finger, the other would notice and immediately snap said finger. So never mind retaliation. From whichever angle he judged, the best decision was to remain still and cautious. Such was the power of the #1 martial god of all 3 realms. The heavenly officials standing at the outer edges all scattered in fear. It took a moment before they remembered to escape, rushing out of the Great Martial Hall with their faces pale. They only made it to the entrance before the set of heavy, glamorous doors closed shut on their own. They slapped at the doors futilely. The near 100 heavenly officials within the hall either couldn't get out or couldn't get up. Truly pure chaos. Oh my god! As for Mei Nianqing, I'm still reeling! His body was yanked forward by an unseen force, and Junwoo grabbed a hold of his collar, smiling. Did you think that by changing your mind last minute and opening your mouth in front of everyone that I wouldn't be able to do anything? Did you think that once they knew that they could threaten me by uniting together, I can annihilate all of them with one hand? It seemed that Junwu bringing Mei Nianqing up first wasn't simply to allow Xie Lian to bid himself farewell to Hua Cheng. He had threatened Mei Nianqing with something, which is why the Guoshi allowed himself to be interrogated in the hall without resistance or complaint. Who knew that at the last second Mei Nianqing would go back on his word? He clutched Junwu's sleeves and shouted to Xie Lian, "Your Highness, run away, he's gone crazy!" "Guoshi!" Xie Lian exclaimed. The next second, Mei Nianqing couldn't speak any longer, like something was choking his throat. But he was always dressed in robes that covered his neck, so Xie Lian couldn't see clearly what was wrong with it. Junwu sighed, "Oh, you dummy. What you're doing is no different than pushing them to a fire pit. Originally, this affair had nothing to do with them. But now no one shall leave the heavenly capital alive." With things this urgent, Xie Lian immediately called through the spiritual connection, "Sun Long!" He had never taken the initiative to recite Hua Cheng's verbal password to the communication array before, but under such dire circumstances, he didn't have time to worry about being shy. Yet even after reciting it a few times, it was still completely silent on the other end without any response. This feeling of communication blockage was exactly the same as it was at Mount Tonglu. With but a glance, Junwu could tell what he was thinking. "Oh, no need to keep trying. If I do not permit it, then you cannot communicate." The heavenly court was built on Junwu's power. This place was his domain. He was top dog, so of course he could do whatever he wanted, which also meant the entire upper court, the entire heavenly capital, and now thoroughly isolated from everyone else. This had truly become crying for the heavens in vain, crying for the earth to no avail. Suddenly, the doors to the great martial hall burst open. The heavenly officials all regained their spirits and were about to rejoice. Yet when they saw who was standing at the entrance, they were taken aback. Outside the hall stood a black-clad man, his aura chilling and unapproachable, blocking everyone's way. It was Ling Wen, wearing the brocade immortal. The heavenly officials were at a loss to what to do. As Ling Wen crossed over the threshold and entered the hall, bending one knee to the ground towards Junwu, speaking with solemn respect, she said, "My lord." "Rise and get to work," Junwu said. "You know what to do." Ling Wen inclined her head and smiled. "Of course." Mu Qing struggled to stand using the wall as support, and seeing this, he was both shocked and dubious. "Wasn't Ling Wen still at large Mount Tonglu?" "That's correct," Junwu replied. "However, I feel Ling Wen is very useful and only made an insignificant mistake, so I've summoned him back." Indeed, compared to the white cloth calamity the brocade immortal Ling Wen created really was an insignificant mistake. And now both Ling Wen and the brocade immortal had become this Junwu's subordinate. Just then a bundle of white shadow flashed and something leapt in and latched onto Junwu's foot, and it started nuzzling his boot. Feng Xin looked and cried angrily, "What are you doing? Get back here!" That thing was the fetus spirit. Not only did it not obey the words of his own father, but it even started snaking its tongue out maliciously at him. Feng Xin was just beaten to the ground by Junwu and was puking up blood, yet now his own son was hugging the leg of the enemy who'd wounded him, like it had no idea who its dad was. Feng Xin was so enraged he puked another round of blood. Soon after, a troop of expressionless martial gods came pouring into the hall. Those martial gods were all officials Junwu had appointed, and who had ever only obeyed his command. Ling Wen received Junwu's control of them and ordered, "Take every heavenly official back to their own palace and watch over them." Pei Ming was sitting nearby, his expression complicated. "Ling Wen, how heartless of you." Ling Wen patted his shoulder. "Didn't you know of my heartlessness from the first day we met? How about it? Want to join? You're always welcome." Pei Ming gave a dry chuckle but didn't speak. Once again, Xie Lian received special treatment, and it was Junwu who would personally escort him back to the palace of Shanle. Junwu chided, "Come." Xie Lian looked back and glanced at Mei Nianqing. "Just what is going on? Who are you? What did you want to achieve? Who is this person? Is he Junwu or White No-Face? What is he planning?" There were far too many questions he wanted to ask, but they were the ones to be asked in private and very carefully. Only Mei Nianqing could answer those questions, but Junwu would definitely not give him this chance. The moment they crossed out of the great martial hall, Xie Lian was slightly taken aback. Upon the great avenue of the heavenly capital, the skies were gloomy, the clouds rolling nefariously, and all had changed in the blink of an eye, and the once scintillating brightness was no more. Only the martial gods under Junwu's command still acted as they usually did, as they sent every heavenly official back to their own palaces, and everything appeared uneasy and somber. As for the junior officials that had been rushing about, they were now sprawled over the ground unconscious. Needless to say, this must have been Junwoo's doing. From afar came the dang, dang chiming of a bell. It seemed the problem lay with the bell. The two slowly walked towards the palace of Shanla, along the great avenue of the heavenly capital. On the way, Xie Lian had been spinning his mind trying to think of a way to escape. But he was no match against Junwoo, and any clever little tricks he could think of would be completely useless against the emperor. Besides, Junwoo didn't have the martial might. He could also see through what Xie Lian was thinking. By the time he entered the palace of Shanla, Xie Lian still couldn't come up with any ideas, and he told himself to let it go, that it'd be fine even if he couldn't think of anything. If he didn't communicate with Hua Cheng for too long, Hua Cheng would definitely notice something was wrong, as long as things didn't get out of hand before that happened. However, after the doors were shut, Junwoo said suddenly, "Do you miss the crimson rain salt flower?" Junwoo's words made his heart jump to his throat, and his heart started to pound. Xie Lian didn't know how to respond. If yes, would Junwoo do something to Hua Cheng? If no, Junwoo might not believe him. Hearing no response, Junwoo smiled. "Oh, no need to worry. I know you must miss him. I'm sure you really want to communicate with him." The way he spoke to Xie Lian was still the same as before, warm, tolerant, composed, dependable. There were no changes, but the more he was like that, the more Xie Lian was confused and terrified. Then Junwoo continued, "If you really miss him, then why don't you connect with him for a bit and chat?" He had guessed what Xie Lian was thinking when they entered the doors just now. Everything was within his grasp. Junwoo continued smiling. "Shanla, you know what to say. Don't let him be worried. I'm sure the crimson rain sought flower of yours would be very happy that you're connecting with him as well." Then he placed a hand on Xie Lian's shoulder. Xie Lian felt an intricate wave of movement and knew Junwoo had cast some sort of spell that allowed him to hear the content of their communication. Even if Junwoo wouldn't be able to speak, he could still hear. Naturally, Xie Lian knew what Junwoo wanted to hear him say. After a pause, he gathered his courage and bold-headedly said Hua Cheng's verbal password out loud. After hearing the verbal password, Junwoo seemed to have found it funny and chuckled a bit. However, Xie Lian had no time to be embarrassed or shy. It took a breath of a second before Hua Cheng's voice rang next to Xie Lian's ears. He sighed, "Gege, Gege, it's been so long. You finally remembered San Long." Xie Lian exchanged a look with Junwoo. He replied, "San Long, I haven't even left for 2 hours. However, Hua Cheng said, "To me, the point is you left. Not only 2 hours, even if for an instant, it's still separation." Oh my God. Junwoo was listening right next to him. Hey, even with this situation so perilous right now, Xie Lian still managed to feel some genuine embarrassment. Junwoo said, "Unfortunately, he will have to wait longer than 2 hours. Continue. Tell him that until the resentful spirits have been taken care of, he will not be able to see you. Don't give any hints in a roundabout way. I can hear everything." To finish taking care of the resentful spirits, that'd be 7 days and 7 nights. After a pause, Xie Lian said, "If you can't even wait for 2 hours, what will you do if you need to be away longer than this time?" "Did Junwoo stuff you with a big pile of missions?" Hua Cheng asked. "Yes," Xie Lian replied. "Let me help you," Hua Cheng said. Junwoo said, "Tell him that after you complete the mission, I will permit you to take a 3-year break." Xie Lian said, "No need, San Long. You're already a great help guarding the array for me. Just let me handle everything else. The Emperor's already said that after I complete this big pile of missions, I can have a 3-year break. I won't have to do anything." "Only 3 years?" Hua Cheng asked. "Is 3 years not enough?" Xie Lian said, "It's already a perk." "All right, fine, but," Hua Cheng said languidly, "Gege, that's your perk. What about mine?" Oh my God, 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 chapter 210. The chaos in the heavenly court, nefarious wave shakes the heavens too. "What perk?" Xie Lian asked. Hua Cheng asked back, "What do you think?" Xie Lian could practically imagine just how his brow was raised and how his lips were curled when he asked this question. So what could he say to that? Hua Cheng continued, "Speaking of which, Gege still owes me quite a bit of spiritual power. Am I wrong?" "No," Xie Lian replied cautiously. "Then has Gege thought of how he'll repay me?" Hua Cheng asked. Oh my God, Junwoo was listening to this. "Not really," Xie Lian said. Hua Cheng seemed to sniff a laugh. "Since you haven't thought of anything, then why don't you let me decide? After this affair is over and done with, and you have your vacation, Gege can take this time to pay me back for everything. How's that sound?" Xie Lian was defending against his attacks while seeing glimpses at Junwoo with a guilty thief at the same time. He answered randomly, yes." After guiding him slyly to this point, step by step in receiving the answer he wanted to hear, Hua Cheng was finally pleased and satisfied and temporarily left him off the hook. And so, it's so rare for Gege to seek me out through a spiritual communication. What is it? Junwoo eyed Xie Lian. The reason he allowed Xie Lian to communicate with Hua Cheng was to hold Hua Cheng down, to make him think nothing was wrong, and to make him stay obediently down in the lower realm. Of course, Xie Lian knew what kind of answer Junwoo wanted to hear. So he replied slowly, actually, it's nothing really. Not really anything. I was just afraid that, having been gone for so long, you'd worry. Hua Cheng wondered. Didn't Gege say so yourself? You haven't even been gone for 2 hours, so why would you worry that I'd worry? Xie Lian was getting dizzy from going around in circles with him, feeling a little anxious but also a little bit funny. Suddenly, Hua Cheng said, oh, I get it. Xie Lian's breath hitched. What do you get? There seemed to be a bit of laughter on the other end. A moment later, Hua Cheng replied leisurely, Gege, maybe it's you who missed me so much after separating for so long. If before Xie Lian could still cover things up with vagueness or vaguity, then this line was truly too honest and exposed, and he couldn't pretend to be normal at all. Under Junwoo's watchful eyes, Xie Lian's face grew hot. A moment later, he replied softly, yes. Hua Cheng's voice was also soft. Me too. I really want to go up there and whisk you away. While Xie Lian's heart was warmed, at the same time it was strung high, and his eyes met Junwoo's. If Hua Cheng really did come to the heavenly capital, how would things end? How would Junwoo handle him? Xie Lian suppressed his surge of emotions and did his best to sound natural. No, it's okay. It's a mess up here in the heavens right now. If you come, they'll probably lose their minds. Just wait a bit longer. Hua Cheng replied lazily, I understand, Gege. I won't go up to scare them. I hate that blinding light up in the heavenly capital, and I still have to guard this circle of people down here, so just wait here nicely. I'll wait here nicely for Gege to come back. Xie Lian couldn't tell if he sighed in relief or broke out in a cold sweat, and he said, yes, be good. But, Hua Cheng said, if I'm going to be good, Gege can't come back empty-handed. I need a reward. Oh my God! What is this chapter? Of course, Xie Lian replied. Then the two said a few more casual words, ambiguous and dubious, going on and off, repeatedly bidding their farewells before the communication array finally ended. Xie Lian huffed a breath softly, and Junwoo said, it seems that Shanla's been living an exciting life down below. Xie Lian didn't know how to answer that. After Junwoo patted Xie Lian's shoulder, he turned around and was about to leave the palace of Shanla when Xie Lian called out from behind him, my lord! Junwoo's form paused. Xie Lian asked, just who are you? Are you the emperor or something else? It was already difficult for him to accept the truth when he suspected a connection between the Guoshi and the White No-Face. If Junwoo and the White No-Face shared a connection, he felt as if his entire person was going to flip upside down. Junwoo was the #1 martial god of the 3 realms that he both respected and looked up to, after all. Junwoo didn't answer him and left propensely. No! Why do you know? Now that Xie Lian was left to his own devices, he brainstormed for retaliation plans as he dragged his exhausted body from the back to the back chambers of the Palace of Shanla. Although the Palace of Shanla had now become a cage, it was still a beautiful cage. There was even a bathing pool made of white jade in the back hall. In recent days, Xie Lian had battled the white ghost, entered the kiln, crawled and tumbled, rolled and fought, and now he was exhausted in both body and mind. He couldn't go anywhere for the next while anyway, so he might as well bathe and refresh himself. After removing his clothes and soaking in the warm waters, Xie Lian rested against the edge of the white jaded pool, folding his clothes absent-mindedly, suddenly from his pile of robes. 2 little things came tumbling out, crackling crisply. Xie Lian looked closely. It was the 2 clever and cute little dice. He picked up the 2 dice, held them in his palm, remembering the words Hua Cheng said to him, if you wanted to see me, it wouldn't matter what you roll, I will appear. However, that he had initiated a connection with Hua Cheng through the spiritual communication was already largely unnatural, so perhaps Hua Cheng had noticed. But even if Hua Cheng had noticed something was wrong, he wouldn't be able to come up since the heavenly capital was now isolated from the world, completely under Junwoo's control. Even though he was well aware of the situation, even though he knew that even if he had rolled 2 6s, he wouldn't be able to see Hua Cheng, Xie Lian still tried. Clack, clack, the dice rolled on top of the jaded rocks next to the edge of the bathing pool. His luck was terrible as always, snake eyes, and sure enough, there was not a single stir of movement. Xie Lian sighed and turned around. He was about to bury both his face and body into the waters when suddenly he heard a voice, Gege. Xie Lian instantly rose from the water, splooshing as the water splashed Sun Long. Did he actually summon Hua Cheng? However, after scanning his surroundings, he didn't see the shadow of anyone, but the voice earlier was definitely not a hallucination caused by his hopefulness. Xie Lian's heart thumped when he heard another voice call out, "Your Highness." Only then did Xie Lian realize the voice had come from his own mouth. Oh! Oh my God! It was his own voice. Only amidst the hot air of the spacious bathing pool and the sound of the splashing water, the sound wasn't clear. Xie Lian was stunned for a moment before it dawned on him. The soul-shifting spell. Xie Lian was both surprised and delighted. "Lord Windmaster." Then from his lips came the voice of another who was overly excited. "Yes, it's me! Ha ha ha! Amazing, right? This Windmaster, no, I have spiritual powers again." Before, it had been mentioned that the soul-shifting spell wasn't often used because it was exhausting. It exhausted spiritual powers rapidly. It was much more wicked and rare than typical spiritual communication spells, so usually concealment barriers wouldn't think to block this spell. When Shi Qingshang lost his spiritual powers, the door that connected him to Xie Lian was blocked one-sidedly. Yet Xie Lian hadn't imagined it'd come to use now. "Qingshang, the soul-shifting spell burns a lot of spiritual power. Where did you get your powers from?" Xie Lian asked, but he soon figured it out. Where else could he get powers from? Sure enough, Shi Qingshang replied, "It's a long story. Well, it's actually not that long. The Crimson Rain Flower Viewers gave me a few black candies to eat. They're incredibly magical." Oh, okay. I thought for a second they made out and I was like, no. But okay, my spiritual powers exploded after I ate them. But ghosts won't come near him. Oh, even though it's only temporary, it could still hang on for some time. Communication would be a problem. Just the taste is really bad. Pew, pew, pew. Xie Lian couldn't help but recall the ghost essence candy that Pei Ming consumed before. But the candies from Hua Cheng should be high quality, spiritual, powerful candies, of course. Xie Lian asked, "Who called me Gege just now?" "It was me," Shi Qingshang said. Xie Lian didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "And why did you call me that?" And here I thought, "I know," Shi Qingshang said. "You thought it was the Crimson Rain Salt Flower who came seeking you, right?" Xie Lian cleared his throat lightly. Shi Qingshang continued, "It was him who told me to call you that. He said if I called you that, you'd know he'd come, and you'd feel better." He supposed that was true. Earlier, when he heard Gege, while he was surprised, he felt more so reassured. Xie Lian said, "Is he right next to you right now? Is everything all right at the royal capital?" "The resentful spirits didn't suddenly start anything, did they?" "Everything's fine here at the capital," Shi Qingshang said. "The resentful spirits are also still being cleaned out. It's just earlier when you said you were having communication with your Crimson Rain Salt Flower. He was happily chucking away, talking about who knows what with you one second, and the next, after the communication incident ended, his face suddenly turned so dark it was terrifying. And then he called me over to see if I could shift my soul over to you. Oh, yeah, by the way, Your Highness, he wants me to pass this message on to you. Your Highness, please dress first." He's been nagging me for a while now. What's the problem? It's not like you'd catch cold in the heavens. Xie Lian, oh my God, was almost going to faint. He swiftly, at the speed of light, grabbed a robe to wrap around himself. Oh, Sun Long can see. "Yeah, Xie Lian replied. It's pretty annoying to keep repeating things, so I just transmitted everything I see and hear directly to him, so he knows everything that you do or say. He just can't talk to you or control your body directly, that's all." Oh, dear Lord Windmaster, you're way too open. If he'd known, he wouldn't have bathed. He thought he would have had to think of some more before an opportunity would show up. "It's fine, Your Highness," Shi Qingshang said. "I didn't think you'd mind so much about matters like these. We're all men here. Haven't you seen Hua Cheng's before? Besides, I didn't see that much anyway." He really was too open. Xie Lian slapped a hand to his forehead and rapidly dressed himself, and then he grabbed the dice before leaving the hall, quickly changing the subject. "Sun Long, how did you discover something was wrong?" After a pause, Shi Qingshang replied, "The Crimson Rain Salt Flower said the moment you sought him out, he knew. Oh, and Hua Chengju wants me to tell you this. Gege is so shy. If it wasn't anything major, why would you take the initiative to recite my verbal password?" So it really was that reason. Shi Qingshang seemed to be talking to Hua Cheng. Okay, I won't waste any more of your time on this nonsense. We'll talk business," he said. "Your Highness, what exactly is the situation over there? Is the Emperor not around?" Xie Lian didn't really know where to start and said, "It's precisely because he's around that things turned out like this." Telling only the key points, the Windmaster was already shaken. "Oh my God, my God, my God, Your Highness, you're not sleep-talking, are you? It's the Emperor. We're talking about the Emperor here." "I can't be sure if it's him anymore," Xie Lian said. "Sun Long, what do you make of all this?" A moment later, Xie Qingchong replied, the Crimson Rain-Sought Flower doesn't seem too surprised, and only said, not surprised, I already can't stand him. Ah! Xie Lian was speechless and choked out a laugh. Can you not stand anyone? The line was directed to Hua Cheng. Xie Qingchong replied, he said, other than you, no. I say, Hua Cheng, that's not very nice. I'm standing right here, you know? You can't stand me either. What's wrong with me? All right. It's all just jokes. In any case, all the martial gods have been beaten down, and every heavenly official is confined in their own palace. The entire heavenly capital is isolated from the world right now, so there's no way to come to the heavens. Xie Qingchong said, the Crimson Rain-Sought Flower said there is a way to go up to the heavens, but we'll need to enlist the help of someone. Who? Xie Lian asked, but right after he shouted, who is it? The latter, who is it, wasn't directed to Hua Cheng or Xie Qingchong. It was voiced because from behind him there was an unusual movement. Someone had come. Oh my God! No way! No! No! Oh my God! Oh my God! Where do we start? Where do we start? Where do we start? I can't, y'all. What? And the thing is, MXTX says, well, I mean, I guess this is it, but who knows? Volume 7! Giving us no answers, but giving us some answers, but maybe they're answers, but they're probably more complicated than that answers. Oh my God. If Junwoo and Bai Wusheng have been the same person this whole damn time. What? Okay, let's start out. And where do we start with this? So, okay, on this stuff's the same. Could it have been Junwoo that sent the puppet to find? Oh my God. Okay, we don't have confirmation. Okay, let me say first and foremost, again, as I say this, I am going to posit some theories. I'm going to posit some things. I could be 100% right. I could be 70% right. I could be 0% right. Do not tell me if I'm right or not. Don't hint or clue. We're going to find out. It's going to come out in the woodwork. And then once it's out in the woodwork, we can back out like, oh my God. But because here's the thing, I would like to say, oh, well, Junwoo is Bai Wusheng because the Guoshi literally says that. But it seems like it'd be more complicated than that because they brought up this whole soul splitting thing out of damn nowhere. They were like, well, what if it was a soul splitting thing? I'm like, when was this established? What was this establishing? Excuse me? And I love Hua Cheng's answer to all of it. Hua Cheng's like, I never liked any of them, so who cares? I love Hua Cheng's not bothered. He's just like, are you okay, gay? Because I didn't like any of these people, so are you fine? As long as you're fine, whatever. Something! Oh my God, what is happening? Okay, we need to talk about this. We just need to talk about it and just let it go and see what the fudge is happening because I'm about to lose my ever-loving mind. So, as far as who sent the puppet for Banyu, let's go through the timeline, okay? Because we know that Junwoo is the emperor, right? Junwoo has been for several thousands years the emperor, right? At least for 800 or 900 years, at least for like 1200 years, they've been the emperor. So that seems like legit. Is this like an Emperor's New Clothes thing where is the soul split between Junwoo and Bai Wusheng? That's a good question. So is there a possibility? They talked about the whole soul split thing where the soul split in two and had two different personalities. So in the chapter set, everybody had been thinking what I thought had been, whenever they talked about the soul splitting, I was like, is that where we're going? Are we going to say that Xie Lian had split his soul in two and become like Bai Wusheng or whatever? But I don't know. This whole awakening thing is weird too because nobody wants to answer that question. The Goshi's being weird as F. So like, what is happening? So is Junwoo soul split with Bai Wusheng? And they both And there's two souls. One's Bai Wuxiang and one's Junwu. That's a possibility. Or has Junwu always been Bai Wuxiang? If that's the case, that would be insanity. That it's been him the entire time and he's just been playing games with Xie Lian. How? But how could he be a ghost if he's a heavenly official? That doesn't make sense either. But it's like, how are you a ghost and a god? But I guess Heshan's been fooling everybody as being the Earth Master for all this time, so it's possible it can happen. Oh my god. And then what if Bai Wuxiang in Mount Tonglu found a way to possess Junwu? Could that be the case? Could Bai Wuxiang, could they have cornered Junwu back in Mount Tonglu when everybody left and then took over their body because he's a supreme? And that's what happened? Is that possible? And now he's gone back to the heavenly realm and is like, this was our plan all along. But there's something weird. So with the Guoshi, there's still something weird going on. Where it said that, we'll talk about this, the Guoshi knows that Junwu, the Guoshi has said that Junwu is Bai Wuxiang. Now, whether the Guoshi means that he's always been Bai Wuxiang or he's just Bai Wuxiang now, we don't know. But there's this whole thing. So the puppet to Banyu. This, oh my god, this whole stuff was brought up, right? What if, oh my god, what if, we don't know for sure, what if Bai Wuxiang killed Junwu back then? During the whole fall, during their initial battle against Xie Lian? What if Bai Wuxiang killed Junwu and posed as him? And has been him ever since? I don't know. I don't know! I'm positing theories that maybe this series will go. Here's why I think that it's possible that Junwu as Bai Wuxiang, that's why I think it's possible that Junwu as Bai Wuxiang sent the puppet. And the reason why I say that is because Junwu said when Xie Lian ascended for the third time, he was like, man, you never came and talked to me after all these years. I've been looking for you all these years and you never showed back up. And Xie Lian's like, well, I've been wandering around for 800 years. And I'm like, did Junwu as Bai Wuxiang send the puppet to lure Xie Lian to Banyu and get this whole thing started? But why? Was it to out the Crimson Rain sought flower to find where they were? Because Junwu seems to know that Xie Lian has a thing for Hua Cheng in this chapter set, and is like, well, let's make sure that Hua Cheng doesn't come find you and everything. I'm like, so they clearly know what's going on. Oh my god. If Junwu has been Bai Wuxiang this entire time and sent Xie Lian to go looking after the Crimson Rain sought flower to try to get him exposed, make him do something he wasn't supposed to, so he'd be good. Because I have a feeling that Hua Cheng is the only one that can stop Bai Wuxiang alongside Xie Lian. So it would make sense why Junwu would want Hua Cheng out of the picture so that Xie Lian was isolated. So maybe that's why he sent them back. We're in season 2. I'm not going to be able to look at it the same way. Now I'm going to just picture Bai Wuxiang posing as Junwu from episode 2 being like, oh, Xie Lian, why don't you go find the Crimson Rain sought flower for me and get rid of him so I can have him all to myself? That's why it seems like, oh my god, is that why it seems that Junwu has this creepy atmosphere over Xie Lian? Being like, poor Xie Lian, I favor you, of course. I'm just in my CEO mode now. What? So, I've been trying to find Hua Cheng to get rid of him this entire time and go and... Because they sent Xie Lian on these missions, but what? And then, so, we don't know about the third ascension. The 500 years, we don't know. We know where Ling Wen is now! Knock that off, Ling Wen and Bai Jing. What the fudge? We know about them. We know their whole thing. So, Ling Wen is a subordinate. Ling Wen and the Brocade Immortal is a subordinate, and they know the secret, whatever it is. So oh my god, God. So Ling Wen and the Brocade Immortal, them getting out, right, during all of the chaos that ensued, it created all this chaos, got all the ghosts released, whatever. And then, oh my God. And then when they went down, Xie Lian discovered them with Hua Cheng, but it was a way to get them towards Mount Tonglu. It was a way to get them towards Mount Tonglu. And then Junwu showing up with Xie Lian and Hua Cheng in bed together. So that's why Junwu was like, oh, what's this? And sent them to Mount Tonglu. So he either wanted Xie Lian to go up to the palaces to imprison him up there, or wanted to send him to Mount Tonglu, and they went to Mount Tonglu, and he was like, okay, sure. But the Guoshi kept saying something about how the crown prince was a lost cause. Well, now I'm nearly certain that the crown prince he was talking about is Bai Wusheng, because we did get confirmation that Bai Wusheng is, oh my God, the executioner, Heaven's Will. The emperor is Heaven's Will. Oh my God, they're the same thing. Ah! So possibly Bai Wusheng, we know he is the prince now. We know that he's the prince. Bai Wusheng has been the Prince of Wuyong, so we did get confirmation with that. But we don't understand, like, what the fudge is going on. So we're going to have to add to this in different ways. The whole thing with Zushin. Bai Wusheng being a sword fiend and knowing all these things about swords makes sense now because he's connected to Junwu. The one thing that's weird about that is that Bai Wusheng made a note, right? Bai Wusheng made a note when he gave Xie Lian the black sword at the end of, after he had stabbed him over and over again. He gave him the black sword and said, this is more valuable. Said, this is more valuable than anything from Junwu, and knew about the sword's original names and everything. So that's kind of lending to like the split soul theory, because why would Bai Wusheng talk badly about himself? Why would that be? And why would Bai Wusheng, I mean, he fought Junwu back during that flashback. They fought during Shanla. They fought back then, and Junwu seemed to destroy him. So that seems weird. Like, why would he be him now? Unless he possessed him on Mount Tonglu. Because ever since he showed up at the royal capital, it was weird. Like, there was a weird vibe there. Like, when he showed up, when he was condescending towards the Guoshi, I was like, that doesn't seem like Junwu. That attitude doesn't seem like Junwu at all. And Junwu up here in the Heavenly Court didn't seem like himself. He seemed like a way different attitude than the Junwu that we've known the entire story. So I want to say that maybe Bai Wusheng has either possessed or switched places. Maybe he did a soul-shifting spell and switched places with Junwu. And the sword, because the sword Hongjing can recognize someone even if they're in a puppet or a disguise, it could see through it. So maybe it did recognize Junwu as being Bai Wusheng, but they're just imitating Junwu as the puppet. But then how do they have all the power that Junwu has? I feel like there is some critical pieces of the story that I am missing that MXTX needs to explain to me right now. MXTX, there's some critical pieces. So, do I think that Junwu has been Bai Wusheng this entire time? No, because there's been too many moments of, like, them fighting each other, and then Junwu, like, but the Guoshi was communicating with Junwu up in the heavens, and then why did the Guoshi not say anything about Bai Wusheng? What is it? A split personality? What is it? I don't want to think that Junwu has been Bai Wusheng this whole time, but at the moment, yes, it seems like Junwu is Bai Wusheng at the moment. But is Bai Wusheng just this spirit that possesses people? Like, it's possessed Xie Lian and it's possessed Junwu and it tries to take them over completely. Like, because yeah, why would Junwu suddenly go into Longying and fight them on Mount Tonglu before that happens? It's just like Bai Wusheng is this weird evil spirit that just jumps ship from body to body, and it seems like maybe it's inhabited the body of Junwu. So what could it possibly be is that maybe Bai Wusheng like trapped Junwu like in between the three mountain spirits and then went inside Junwu's body and like possessed him. Maybe But then, so I think the Guoshi says the crown prince was a lost cause, talking about Bai Wusheng. So then what is their mission? Because it seemed like if that was the case, they came to the royal capital to maybe tell Xie Lian about Bai Wusheng and all this, to confront him. But there's so many missing pieces to the story, right? And so we have this whole thing with Zhu Xin being Fang Xin, and then the murals. We kind of get an answer to that, but I'm going to leave the murals up there because they talk about the murals being destroyed except for the one. And then the fetus spirit origin, I'm just going to put a Jun Wu question mark by it. Did Jun Wu or let me put it this way, a Bai Wusheng question mark by it. Was Bai Wusheng responsible for the fetus spirit? Was this like Bai Wusheng? Because okay. Because I'm like, was Bai Wusheng responsible for the fetus spirit because they were like mad that Feng Xin left Xie Lian, and they were like, well, I'll get back at you because you stopped. Here are my theories about Bai Wusheng after reading these chapter sets, because it's very weird that Bai Wusheng has this very unhealthy obsession with Xie Lian. And there's some sense about, and then the Guoshi wants to, that's something else too. Oh my God. There's this chapter, so much. What does the Guoshi want to awaken in Xie Lian? Well, Jun Wu apparently knows what he wants to awaken, but does Bai Wusheng know? And that's why the Guoshi doesn't want to say anything. So is Bai Wusheng possessing Jun Wu, and the Guoshi doesn't want to say anything to let Bai Wusheng know what that awakening is? I don't know what it is, but he has this unhealthy obsession with Xie Lian, and the Guoshi has some plan that we don't know about, right? But beyond that, let me find out where that toy went. There it is. But beyond that, I have two theories, right? I think that I guess there's three theories on here. Got three theories of what Bai Wusheng is at this point. Either Jun Wu has been Bai Wusheng this entire time, and he's just been faking being nice to Xie Lian, setting all of this up, being absolutely ridiculous. But I don't think that makes sense, because Jun Wu showing up and saving Xie Lian during the end of book 4, that doesn't align with what Bai Wusheng was wanting. So I don't think that that's it. I don't think that's the entire truth. Is Jun Wu a split soul with Bai Wusheng, or is he? I guess I have another theory on here too. There's just this chapter set. Or is Jun Wu being possessed by Bai Wusheng? Why wait all this time to cause chaos in the heavenly realm if you're just now unless you're just now possessing him? Or my other thing was that Bai Wusheng is a split soul with Hua Cheng, because they both have this weird obsession with Xie Lian. One's toxic and one's healthy. And so it's like, okay, well, maybe that's why. And Bai Wusheng just wants Xie Lian to get away from Hua Cheng. It's weird. Like, Bai Wusheng. But then, oh my God, my brain is just fried, because then you think back, and Bai Wusheng did do the nice thing of like putting his parents in the mausoleum after he found his ashes. So him making Xie Lian the palace and wanting him to stay up there the entire time doesn't seem that far-fetched. And what if Bai Wusheng was like, well, Xie Lian doesn't want to have an unhealthy relationship with a ghost like he does with Hua Cheng. Maybe that's not it. Maybe if I just pose as this emperor, things will be better. But Jun Wu said Jun Wu lied up there saying he didn't know about Wu Yong, but if he's Bai Wusheng, then he clearly knows about Wu Yong, because he's the prince of Wu Yong. So, I know, Huckleberry, I know! What is happening? I feel like that MXTX is dangling a puzzle in front of me, and it's like, okay, it's 70% done. the middle of it's important, but I guess you'll find out later. And I'm like, no, tell me now. And I feel like we're not going to find it yet. So this week is going to be really hard because I'm waiting for the Manual chapter to come out. This is going to be a really hard week. Let me tell you right now. Oh my God, this week's going to be hard. It's going to be real hard. So wait. Oh my God. So yeah. So see, Xie Lian goes up to the Capitol, right? He's punch drunk love from having kissed Hua Cheng. Can we blame the guy? And he kissed him so hard, whatever. But everybody's in the heavenly realm. Everyone is there. And things right off the bat are just not quite right. It seems very convenient that Junwoo has gathered them all together. And that they've all like done their part and got the resentful. Here's the thing. Is that Junwoo split them all up, right? What if, are Junwoo and Bai Wusheng working together? Have they been working together this entire time? What? Because here's the thing. We're going to just put this on the board here. We're like Junwoo and Bai Wusheng identity. Because that's just a thing now. And it relates to the Guoshi. It's just a thing. We're just going to have it on there, right? Just have it on there. So, because here's the thing. They basically had your strongest martial gods. Oh my God, they did. They had the strongest martial gods go fight the resentful spirits. And Bai Wusheng sent the most to the heavenly capital, knowing that's where Xie Lian and Hua Cheng would go, to the place where there was the most damage. And so that would be enough to keep Hua Cheng busy the longest at the place where it was most concentrated. So Hua Cheng is busy. He can't do anything now. So meanwhile, Pei Ming, Feng Xin, Mu Qing, and Qi Ying, who are your 4 strongest martial gods, are all wore out from fighting all the resentful spirits and being split up. And then conveniently, Junwoo, who has the most power in the heavens, calls them all back and is like, hey, come on back, guys. Come on back now that you've worn yourself out so I can trap you in here and you can't escape. Along with Lan Chuanchu, and then conveniently now has, thanks to Yin Yu, conveniently has Qi Rong as well as Zhan Lan and the fetus spirit there. All conveniently located together. It felt very weird when Lan Chuanchu was talking with Junwoo because his voice and his cadence and his demeanor did not sound the same. But maybe by this point, if Junwoo is actually Bai Wusheng, they're just like, I've won, so why do I have to even act anymore? I'm getting what I want, so why do I have to bother? Although, Junwoo is now giving off Modao Zushi spoilers. Sorry if you haven't read Modao Zushi, but just ignore the next minute of conversation here. But Junwoo is giving off like Yao vibes now because he's like, hey everybody, like we've redecorated here. Gonna take you to your nice little individual prisons. Don't worry, they have a hot tub. They have air conditioning and heating. There's a full bar. You guys are gonna be fine. Just hang out here while I go make Xie Lian's life miserable. Okay, thanks. Bye. Like, why is he competing with Yao to see who can be the best hostess with the mostest? Why? And so the Guoshi knows seemingly all the secrets, but why did they choose now to rat Junwoo out? What is the point? What is the Guoshi trying to stop Junwoo / Bai Wusheng? What do they know? What? So yeah. So Qi Rong and Zhan Lan are in the heavenly court. Qi Rong is up in the heavenly court. No big deal. Just gonna probably cause chaos if he gets let loose. I'm just saying. I could just see this all going to hell in a handbasket. Oh my God. And Lan Chuanchu wants to get rid of him. But then Junwoo asks, well, what are you gonna do when you get rid of him? And Xie Lian knows the answer is that Lan Chuanchu is gonna come after him. Which if Lan Chuanchu is Bai Wusheng, or if Junwoo is Bai Wusheng, he doesn't want that because Xie Lian is his. So he's like, well, let's not worry about it now. And so then Mu Qing, but the thing about it is the way that Lan Chuanchu and Mu Qing talked to Junwoo was very disrespectful for it being Junwoo. And I expected Junwoo to like assert their authority and like be like, hey, don't talk to me that way. But he doesn't. So it's like, it felt so weird. And Mu Qing is adamant that he has not been causing any of the stuff with the fetus spirit. I'm ready for Bai Wusheng to say that it was him. For whatever reason. Because if they're yandere, if Bai Wusheng is yandere and found out that Fengshen's loyalty was wavering and thought that Fengshen would leave Xie Lian's side to go be with Zhanlan and his son, Bai Wusheng may have been like, Xie Lian, your most loyal soldier was going to leave you to go be with that harlot. Well, I got rid of her and the baby, so we don't have to worry about that now. I could see him doing that because he's a yandere mofo. I could see that. But it's like, what is happening? And so Xie Lian, the fact that Junwu had to say silence, can you both not wait till I finish dealing with Mount Tonglu? That didn't sound like Junwu at all. So I don't know what to, I'm like Xie Lian, I don't know what to believe anymore. I'm like, has Junwu been putting on an act this entire time? Or has Bai Wusheng just possessed Junwu now? Or has Bai Wusheng just posed as him now and entered the heavenly realm and the heavenly realm is obeying him because they think that he's Junwu? Or has it been a facade this entire time? I'm like, Xie Lian, I don't know. But at this point, they bring out the Guoshi and Fengshen and Mu Qing are like, excuse me, what? And that's when he comes out and Xie Lian's like, is the Crown Prince of Wuyong the white no-face? And Mei Nianqing is like, yes. So that answers that question. So yes, Bai Wusheng is the Crown Prince of Wuyong. But Junwu says, I've never heard of the Kingdom of Wuyong. Which is a lie. Because Mei Nianqing is just like, what do we do with this? And like, who left the murals behind and who destroyed the last one? And Xie Lian's like, well, I don't know who left them behind, but the last painting was destroyed by white no-face or subordinates. Are you a subordinate of the Crown Prince of Wuyong? But here's the weird thing. Mei Nianqing is supposed to be the Guoshi. He's the Guoshi of Shanla. He's supposedly one of the Guoshis and subordinates of Bai Wusheng, if he was the Crown Prince of Wuyong. But he doesn't answer the question. He's like, why did the white no-face bring ruin to Shanla? He doesn't answer the question. Where is he now? He doesn't answer the question. Well, he does answer that, where is white no-face now? But he doesn't answer these questions. And I'm like, why can't you answer them? What? And then he said, why did you want to kill me? And Mei Nianqing says, I never wanted to kill you. And he's like, then why were you coming at my throat? And he said, if I'd strangled you, would you have died? Would the one next to you have allowed me to succeed? So was he trying to bait Hua Cheng? Was the whole point of him, like, it was the whole point of him going after Xie Lian to bait Hua Cheng? Well, then why? To what purpose? And then Xie Lian's like, what did you want to awaken in me? And the Guoshi is like, what are we talking about? And then he does the MXTX thing where he's like, well, I don't want to answer these questions now. And I'm like, you son of a bitch. I was like, MXTX, how dare you? You give us these answers, but you don't give us all of them that we need to make logical assumptions. Because I want to say that they talk about the soul splitting, and I want to say that Junwu and Bai Wusheng might be two sides. They might be a soul that's split. Junwu might be the soul. Oh my God, the idea of the 2 men in 1 cup. Could it be that he was like, because Xie Lian always constantly throughout that book was like, I wish there were 2 of me so I could do these multiple things. What if Junwu split his soul in half? What if he was the Crown Prince of Wu? What if the Crown Prince of Wuyong split his soul in half to try and do both things, to try to help save his people and also be a heavenly official? And what if the soul splitting, somehow the one soul stayed behind and wiped out the heavenly realm and became Junwu, the new whatever? But they established Junwu was a general that ascended, so that can't be right. Right? Right? They established Junwu was a general that ascended. And Bai Wusheng, we know, is the Crown Prince of Wuyong. So I guess Bai Wusheng has just possessed Junwu at this point, but I want confirmation, damn it, from the story, and the story's not giving it to me yet, so I know your comments are going to be very frustrated. And I know the mods are sitting there going, I would be, because it's like, what the hell? So yeah. It says the path of the fate of Crown Prince of Wuyong was similar to his own. So is there a connection between him and White No Face? Well, no, it seems to be there's a connection between Junwoo and White No Face, but we don't know. And that's when they talk about the soul splitting. If a person's soul split in half, each half has its own memories, its own personalities, and its skill will be different. The appearance can be different as well. And it's like, well, when did this all happen? So I'm like, did Junwoo's soul split? Did the Crown Prince of Wuyong's soul split? MXTX, why? So yeah, that's when, Xie Lian's worried about all this, and that's when Hua Cheng is like, look, Gege, I said, you are you. You are not anyone else. Trust me. And so I like that Xie Lian gets comforted by that. He's like, okay, good. We're fine. We're great. And so that's when Junwoo comes down and be like, calm down, Shanla. And it's like, ugh. And then that's when Nianqing like lunges at him and he says, take a look, quick, look at the sword. And then this image, thank God they gave us an image this chapter. It's terrifying. It's a picture of there's Junwoo and Xie Lian, but look at the face. Look at the mother trucking face in that sword. That is terrifying. What? And it's the face, and the face is of a man with ghost eyes, and he has all of these human faces, contorted on his face to the point where it looks like one half of his face is going up and one half is going down, like the Cry Smiling Mask. So something's going on. That is a terrifying image. It's amazing, but it's terrifying. That image is Bai Wusheng's real face, right beneath the mask. The Cry Smile mask is to hide the fact that he has the human face disease all over him. So clearly it's him there, but I don't think that it's been Junwoo this entire time that's been Bai Wusheng. Because he was a general that ascended, he fought Bai Wusheng, he supposedly killed him, he's been very kind towards Xie Lian, he's been able to put the curse shackle on Xie Lian and send him on his way. And his attitude has been different. The moment that Junwoo came to the royal capital where Xie Lian and Hua Cheng were fighting off the resentful spirits and acted condescendingly towards the Guoshi, that's been the first time that Junwoo has acted differently than they have before. So either Junwoo is still, or it could be, that Bai Wusheng, is posing as a puppet of Junwoo, and Junwoo is trapped at Mount Tonglu. The mountain spirits, they formed a new barrier and they trapped Junwoo at Mount Tonglu with the mountain spirits. Meanwhile, Bai Wusheng is running around posing as Junwoo, and up in the heavenly realm, because he looks like Junwoo and is freakishly strong, the other subordinates are listening to him, including Ling Wen. Which Ling Wen turning coat and because then Junwoo says, you've disappointed me again. And Mei Nianqing's face drops. So Xie Lian says something about there's something on the robes of Nianqing. Like, we don't know if it's a curse shackle or what it is. There's something about his robes that is being hidden. We don't know what. But then, like, of course, Mu Qing and Feng Xin are like, Xie Lian, you need to do something. And Junwoo just decimates them. Which, if it's Bai Wusheng posing as Junwoo and still decimates all the heavenly officials, are we surprised? Because Bai Wusheng is freakishly strong, right? He was giving Hua Cheng a run for his money. So it would make sense that he was just applying that strength. And so at that point, or did like the soul shifting spell, did Bai Wusheng force Junwoo to do a soul shifting spell? Now Bai Wusheng is in Junwoo's body and Junwoo is stuck in Mount Tonglu with the ghost. We don't know. Again, all these theories, but MXTX hasn't given us proper like context to know for sure. And then the Guoshi, he's like, run away, Your Highness, he's gone crazy. So I don't know what to think about Junwoo at this point. Or about Bai Wusheng, I want to know more, but like, what the fudge? And so then But Junwoo just takes him to the palace and locks him up and tries to make him make Hua Cheng seem like he doesn't need to come up. So what is Junwoo / Bai Wucheng planning? What are his goals to do with all the martial gods? He's got them all locked in their palaces. What is he going to do with them? What is going on? Did Bai Wucheng just sneak into the heavenly court to take over? I don't know. And then Ling Wen comes up as the Brocade Immortal, and Junwoo says, rise and get to work, you know what to do. So Ling Wen's been working for Bai Wucheng this entire time? Are you freaking kidding me? Oh my God. Ling Wen working for Bai Wucheng this entire time, and they've been watching over Xie Lian this entire time, and oh my God. Oh my God, it all makes sense now. Because Ling Wen being best bros with Shi Wudu and Pei Ming, Ling Wen essentially got rid of Shi Wudu. Ling Wen got close and became best friends with Shi Wudu, who was the one that Heshan wanted revenge on. And Ling Wen was like, I will get you your revenge. I'll become friends with this person and get them to where you can get your revenge on them. Because they have access to all the information. Now, where Pei Ming runs into this, I think Pei Ming was just a threat. And so Ling Wen, it was kind of like keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer sort of thing. And maybe that's why. And maybe it also was because Pei Ming was best bro friends with Shi Wudu. So Ling Wen's like, well, I'll let you hang around because you're best friends with Shi Wudu, but Shi Wudu's my target. Because, yeah, Shi Wudu would have been the biggest threat to Bai Wucheng, too, if he worked with the others. So let's get him out of the way. Let's get him sent away and get Heshan to take care of him. There's that. We'll get Qi Ying taken care of. Just get him out of here. The one thing is, I don't know about Yin Yu. Yin Yu was summoned there. And that's another thing that's weird, too. Yin Yu was never allowed in the heavenly realm, but Junwoo was like, oh, hey, Yin Yu. And Junwoo saw Yin Yu back at Mount Tonglu, and here they've invited them into the heavenly realm. So the timeline is weird. I'm like, is the Junwoo that showed up as all of is the Junwoo that showed up to them telling them that the resentful spirits of Wuyong had dispersed and they all needed to go separate ways? Is that Junwoo the one that was possessed by Bai Wucheng, or have they always been Bai Wucheng? Was the Ascended general story a lie? Oh my God. I'm questioning everything now. Nothing, my brain is like overloaded. I'm questioning all things. But Ling Wen being a traitor makes so much sense now. And they have had access to all the information on Xie Lian and on everybody, which would give Bai Wucheng access to everything. Oh my God. Oh, if Junwoo and Bai Wucheng have been the same being this entire time, why? MXTX, you got a volume and a half to give us answers. Come on now. I mean, we got more than a half, but you got a volume and 2/3 to give us answers. We better be getting it because I'm floored. I am just at the end. And then Feng Xin, the fetus spirit, comes up nuzzling Junwoo's boot. The fudge? And sticking its tail out, and Feng Xin's like, what the hell? So yeah, it's like the ultimate villain reveal. Junwoo's been standing there being like, it's been me this entire time. You thought it was the Heavenly Emperor, but it is I, Dio. It's like you thought it was the Heavenly Emperor, but it is I, Bai Wucheng, this entire time. Junwoo, Bai Wucheng of Wuyong, Wu Ming. Oh my God. But yeah, if it was just like the ultimate villain reveal. You have Junwoo standing there as Bai Wucheng with Ling Wen, ultimate traitor extraordinaire, standing by their side, and then the fetus spirit just nuzzling up it's their fault. Oh my God. And what if blaming Mu Qing was Bai Wucheng being like, well, you left Xie Lian too, so I'm gonna blame you as well, make your life miserable as well. What is happening? Oh my God. And so Xie Lian gets sent to the palace of Shanla. The thing that's so weird, and I'm with Xie Lian, questioning like, why trap Xie Lian in his palace? Like, Junwoo is like torturing Xie Lian this entire time. Why trap him in the palace now? To what point? That doesn't seem like a very Bai Wusheng thing to do. So it's just, I don't understand what the point of it is and what their plan is. So that's not been revealed yet. So fun times. I do like when Ling Wen's like, well, you could join us, Pei Ming. And Pei Ming's like, it's like, he's like, I got 99 problems, but a bitch ain't one. Like, no. Like, Pei Ming's like, I ain't doing this. But yeah, I'm with Xie Lian. What is going on? Who are you? What do you want to achieve? Who is this person? Is it Junwoo or White No Face? What is he planning? I'm with Xie Lian. there's so many questions. And Mei Nianqing knows the answers, but Junwoo is not giving him a chance to talk anymore after he spilled the beans. And then he goes up to Xie Lian asking about Hua Cheng, and it's the only levity in this set of chapters, the only levity whatsoever, is Xie Lian being like, okay, so the only levity is Xie Lian being like, so yeah, I guess I'll talk to Hua Cheng right now that you want me to talk. It was so creepy. It was so creepy seeing Junwoo like standing over Xie Lian's shoulders being like, call him and tell him you're okay. Tell him there's nothing he needs to worry about and to not come up here and get in our way. And I'm like, and the fact that Xie Lian had to say the password and that Junwoo like laughed about it. Y'all, do you know how hard it's gonna be for me to watch season 2 of this damn Dongwall? And every time I see Junwoo just be like, knowing this now is gonna be insanity. Insanity. And we don't even have anything confirmed yet. We just know that something with Junwoo and Bai Wusheng is happening. That Junwoo is somehow Bai Wusheng now. Has he always been that way? We don't know. But, and so yeah, then he calls them. And my favorite part of this entire chapter and this part here, aside from the reveal of Junwoo being Bai Wusheng, aside from that, is the idea that the Windmaster says as soon as Hua Cheng got off the phone, he was like, okay, Gege, thanks, bye. And then instantly knew something was wrong. That was amazing. And I was like, oh my God. Like, you could just picture Hua Cheng being like, it's okay, Gege, you're going to be fine. Love you. Something's wrong. And it's like, oh no. Like, just, crazy. And then the idea that Xie Lian is to lead Hua Cheng to believe that he needs to stay down there for another week, fighting the resentful spirits, while Xie Lian is just like on these missions or whatnot. And Hua Cheng knows something's wrong. And then of course Hua Cheng is like, so what will you do for me? If I let you off the hook, what are you going to do for me? And I love that Xie Lian's just like, Junwoo / Bai Wusheng is right here beside me. What are we doing? The thing that's so weird is that they go through the motions and they go through all this flirting, and of course Hua Cheng's like, you owe me a bit of spiritual power, and Xie Lian's like, But then, like, Bai Wusheng knows from being around Xie Lian and Hua Cheng and Mount Tonglu, he knows about their relationship. He knows about their relationship from the past. Junwoo seems kind of like new about this, so it's very weird. And it doesn't feel like the same Bai Wusheng that has been in the previous chapters. And then just, because Junwoo says, he's, because then Hua Cheng says, maybe it's you that's missed me for so long. And Xie Lian's like, yes. And Junwoo says, it seems you've been living an exciting life down below. And Xie Lian's like what? That just, it, earlier when the Guoshi was there and Junwoo was smiling and being condescending, it did seem like Bai Wusheng. But this seems different somehow. And I don't know why. Because Xie Lian asks, who are you? Are you Bai Wusheng? Are you the Emperor? Are you something else? And Junwoo just doesn't answer him. And I'm like, what? And Xie Lian's like, well, what do I do? So he does what anybody in that situation would do, and that's take a bath. Like, things are dire. I'm just going to take a bath. I'll sweat it off. It'll be fine. And then he notices the dice when he folds his clothes. And he's like, oh, yeah, I'm assuming he still has the necklace around his neck. And he's like, oh, the dice, yeah. So of course he's like, if you roll, I will appear. And so Xie Lian's like, well, let's try this out. And of course he gets snake eyes. But then I love that the Windmaster did the soul shifting spell to talk to Xie Lian and to get inside his, you know, to like use his mouth to say things, and it's not a communication array, so that Junwoo can't sneak on them. That's really, really cool, right? And Xie Lian realizes that because the soul shifting spell is such a gamble and nobody would likely do it, it's not detectable through the communication array, so Junwoo doesn't know that the Windmaster and them are having this conversation. Now, when the Windmaster said, oh yes, I got spiritual powers again, for a hot second, I thought that the Windmaster had to kiss Hua Cheng, and I was like, there is no way in hell that Hua Cheng would ever let anybody touch his lips except his Gege. And I was like, how'd you get spiritual powers again? And then my mind was being like, did the Blackwater show up and make out with the Windmaster, and that's how they got their spiritual powers back? I don't know, but no, instead, Hua Cheng was like, oh yeah, Paiming that baka, he had like the dumb candy that's like laced with whatever. This is the good shit. Here you go. Even though the Windmaster says it tastes nasty, it's still the good candies that give him spiritual power back. And it's like, oh, while masking it. So Xie Lian's like, well, you know, who called me Gege? And the Windmaster's like, well, it was me, because the Windmaster said that they knew that would get your attention. And my favorite part is that the Windmaster's like, oh, by the way, I didn't want to have to like text Hua Cheng back and forth whatever we were saying, so I just opened up a direct feed, so whatever I'm seeing, he's seeing. You might want to put some clothes on because he's seeing your body. Xie Lian's like, no! The thing that I kind of love about this part, though, is that it's like, it shows just how respectful Hua Cheng is of Xie Lian, because, you know, if he was like toxic or gross, he'd been like, oh, I'm looking at my Gege naked. But no, Hua Cheng respects and worships Xie Lian. So the idea of seeing his Gege naked without his consent, Hua Cheng is like, never, would never do that. Put some clothes on, Your Highness, so I don't have to see that. Like, come on now. Can we get any better than that? And so I like the Windmaster's like, well, I don't know why this is a big deal. We're all just a bunch of guys. It's not like I didn't look at your dick that long. I don't know what he's complaining about. And Xie Lian's like, no! I love the Windmaster is so confused. You would think the Windmaster would have figured it out by now. And he's like, I don't get what the problem is. And so then he's like, okay, we'll explain what the situation. And then he's like, well, have you seen Hua Cheng, have you seen the Crimson Rain Flower Bro? I'm like, wait a minute. Why does he's like, we're all men here. Haven't you seen Hua Cheng's Zhu before? I'm like, Windmaster, when would Xie Lian have seen the Supreme Ghost King naked? When would that have been a thing that came up? I'm like, what? They weren't playing, this isn't a sports anime. They weren't playing basketball in the locker room. Like, what are you doing? Why would that have came up? Xie Lian's like, what? So I have a feeling, though, that maybe part of paying Hua Cheng back will be Xie Lian, you know, and Hua Cheng having like a striptease. They can play strip poker. It'll be great. And I like that Hua Cheng is like, I realized when Xie Lian was desperate because he actually recited the verbal password. And Xie Lian, he says, Gege is so shy. If it wasn't anything major, he wouldn't have taken the initiative. He's like, my Gege is really shy, and he wouldn't have done that. And I'm like, oh my God, he knows. He knows so well. And so they talk business, and I love that the Windmaster's like, oh my God, what is happening? What is going on? And then Xie Lian's like, well, I can't be sure if that's him anymore. I don't know who Junwoo is. Song Long, what do you make of this? Love it. I love it. It's like the Crimson Rain Flower does not seem too surprised. He only said, not surprised, already can't stand him. I don't care. He's bad. Hate him. Let's go. God. So then it's like, well, how do we get out of here? And I like that the Windmaster's like, well, he doesn't like anybody other than you, even me. Don't know why. And so he's like, it's just joking. But he's like, Xie Lian's like, the entire heavenly capital is isolated, so there's no way to come to the heavens. And the Windmaster's like, the Crimson Rain Flower said there is a way to go to the heavens, but we need to enlist the help of someone. And Xie Lian's like, who? And that's when someone's come. So it's like, who could we get to help us get in and out of the heavens? The only person I can think of is Yin Yu, because they have the Earth Master shovel. But I like, what is Yin? Yin Yu doesn't have any spiritual pressure either because they're mortal now, so maybe they would go undetected. But what do we do? I guess, are they going to burrow Xie Lian out and let him get out, or what? Let me just say, at this point, my mind is like just exploded, and I have to wait until this weekend before I can read the next chapter with the manhwa chapter. So I know it's going to be really hard. I know you're going to be sitting on your hands. I know you've already thrown your popcorn at the screen being like, Romania, why can't you just confirm this and understand it? But I'm like 90% sure that either Junwoo is Bai Wusheng or is possessed by Bai Wusheng or is a soul split from Bai Wusheng. But there's like this percentage of me that doesn't know how or to what extent or how we got here. What is the Guoshi's plan? What is all of this? Because at one point earlier in the chapter, Junwoo, he tells them, he like, when everything's getting all crazy, what does he say here? Like before, like at the end of the chapter, what did he say to them? Because he talks about before Hua Cheng and Xie Lian have a talk, he says something to them. He's like, oh, how heartless of you. What was for? It was when like, yes, he was before the other heavenly officials. Yes, he says the Guoshi, the next second, Mei Nianqing couldn't speak any longer, like something was choking his throat. But he was always dressed in robes that covered his neck, so Xie Lian couldn't see clearly what was wrong with it. So does he have a curse shackle? We don't know. Something's going on with it. And then he said he clutched Junwoo's robes and said, run away, he's gone crazy. And Junwoo says, you dummy. What you're doing is no different than pushing them into a fire pit. Originally, this affair had nothing to do with them, but now no one shall leave the heavenly capital alive. So the whole fire pit thing reminds me of Wu Yong and Mount Tonglu. So apparently whatever Junwoo is doing with the Guoshi, apparently the heavenly officials had originally nothing to do with it, but now that they all know that he's Bai Wusheng, it's all like, they're all going to have to suffer. So, Huckleberry, drop it. Oh my God. Drop. Thank you. My dog, he is like Bai Wusheng incarnate as well. But yeah. So, he's like, and now none shall leave alive. Like, why? What is going on? So basically, I'm going to be in a state of confusion and peril for the next week until I can watch the manhwa chapter this weekend and see what's up with that. So that's fun. That's exciting. Y'all, what the fudge? My mind is blown. I still want confirmation, but at this point, I'm like, what the hell? So yeah. Like, face crack of the millennium. So until I get confirmation, I'm not going to know if Junwoo is Bai Wusheng, but that's going to make the Donghua season all that much more insane. What do we do? So, we'll see, right? We'll find out, won't we? So I'm like, has Bai Wusheng been knowing about Hashan posing as a puppet this entire time in the Heavenly Realm and was just using Xie Lian, the Wind Master, to try to rat them out to help get them out of the way? Next week, we're looking at chapters 211 and 212, which is pages 129 to 156, so maybe we'll get some answers, along with manhwa chapter 100, which is going to be a fun time. So, we've got that to look forward to. Oh my God. But yeah, in the meantime, I'm sorry that you probably can't comment a lot on this chapter set. You're probably just going to laugh at your screens and point at me and how ridiculous I am. But it'll all come out in the woodwork eventually, right? It'll all come out in the woodwork eventually, right? It's just a matter of time. So, in the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care. And yeah, I'm going to be freaking out for the next week until we come back and maybe get some answers with chapters 211 and 212 of Heaven Official's Blessing. Until then, bye!